I'm living in a 21st century, doing something mean to it, do it better than anybody.
Welcome to this week's edition of Don't Mess with the Dragon's Ears. I'm Jacob Byron. This week we're going to break down 2 albums, and normally I would go into a few singles I'd like to break down this week, but however we're not going to do that. I got a little something special at the end I'd like to talk about. So for the first album this week, I'd like to talk about Justin Timberlake's second part of his compilation album, The 2020 Experience. Now, for those of you who are fans of JT or just in general pop music, as you all know, he released the first part of his album a little while ago with the singles Mirrors and Suit and Tie. It was a great album and just overall did amazing things for pop music. Now, the second part of his album released recently, not quite up to par with the first part. A lot of good things happen on this. Timberland produces most of it, as JT and Timberland normally hook up for CDs and such. When it comes down to the features, some excellent features of Drake. Jay-Z murders his verse on a song called Murder, which is amazing. Anytime Jay-Z and JT hook up, it seems to be magic, such as Holy Grail, Suit and Tie. Just a great atmosphere when those two collaborate, so that's great. When it comes down to it, though, this portion of the 2020 Experience does not quite match up to the first part. I like JT. I like what he does ever since NSYNC. I've been kind of a fan. I'm not ashamed to admit it. He does great things, but when it comes down to it, like I said before, this album doesn't quite match up to the first part. I give it a 4 out of 5 for a pop album, and better luck next time, JT. Hopefully you get a 5 out of 5 from me. Now, for the second album, I'd like to talk about Pusha T's debut album out of Good Music, My Name Is My Name. I love the title to begin with, just a very classic title, and when it comes to the album art cover, it's sort of a barcode, which is kind of interesting. I guess he took a little bit from Kanye, from Yeezus, not exactly having an album cover at all. When it comes down to this, though, primarily it's Kanye's production that stands out on this album. Really, I love Pusha T, and his lyricism is great as well, but just the combination of the two makes for an incredible hip-hop album. The features include Future, a little bit of Chris Brown and Sweet Serenade, which was one of the singles that actually drew me to the album because I'm partially a Chris Brown fan as well. And then you get Kendrick Lamar at the end on a track, and it's overall a great hip-hop album and adds to just an amazing collection of hip-hop albums if you've collected this year so far, such as Magna Carta, Holy Grail with Jay-Z, J. Cole's Born Sinner. It's just, if you keep buying hip-hop albums this year, they just seem to be getting better and better, and Pusha T is up with the competition right now. And as you all know, Eminem's going to be releasing an album later this year, so hip-hop will continue to have just raising the bar a little bit when it comes to these albums coming out, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. But overall, Pusha T, great album. I love the lyricism. His voice graces the tracks elegantly, and just it does a great job. He adds a street element to it, sort of a little bit of a Nas feel, and with Kanye's production and a little bit of Kanye's voice as well. It just is a great album overall. I give it a 4 out of 5 because it's not quite perfect, but it's almost there. Good job, Pusha. Now, for the primary segment of the show, I'd like to talk about Kendrick Lamar real quick. Actually, not real quick, for the rest of the show. When it comes down to it, Kendrick Lamar is just setting the bar for hip-hop artists out there. I mean, really. Good Kid, Mad City was released to initial universal and critical acclaim. It's an amazing concept piece of art, and when it comes down to it, Dr. Dre combined with Kendrick Lamar on an album is amazing. Then during the summer, for those of you who are hip-hop fans or even just pay attention to media buzz, Kendrick Lamar was on a song with Big Sean and Jay Electronica. Did not make Big Sean's album due to a little bit of contract issues and sampling rights. The song was called Control. Kendrick Lamar had about a 3-minute verse in that where he calls out a bunch of rappers, including Drake, Tyga, just basically any new rapper you could think of, Mac Miller, all of them. He calls them all out and says, look, you guys aren't doing your job. He raises the bar, says you guys need to start being better, more lyrical. He says he's out to murder all of them, and murdering more figuratively in hip-hop, meaning just basically put out better lyricism and better works of art. When it comes down to it, though, that him calling them out was ridiculous. It blew up. Half the hip-hop community said, oh my God, Kendrick's so great, I can't believe he's doing this, he's making us work harder. The other half went, hey, he's calling us out, we need to stop him, we need to step our game up and call him out. So a few diss tracks came out. Then, this past Tuesday, Kendrick Lamar comes out in the BET Hip Hop Awards with a cypher with Top Dog Entertainment, Schoolboy Q, Absol, J-Rock, basically his Black Hippie crew. He comes out, the first portion of Black Hippie does their thing. Then Kendrick goes in for about 3 minutes, once again calling out the entire hip-hop community, saying he's tired of us you know, tired of y'all saying you need to stop what you're doing. He's raising the bar, basically more competition. And I love it. I love what he's doing. He's making lyricism come out in hip-hop, which we haven't seen in a long time. A lot of hip-hop is blatant beats that people like to nod their head to. There needs to be more lyricism, better concept work, and Kendrick Lamar, King Kendrick, is calling y'all out to make y'all try to be better. I hope it works. I want to see better lyricism from hip-hop, and I believe that Kendrick Lamar right now is the most prominent hip-hop artist out there. And let's see if he pretty much sweeps the Grammys. I hope he will. This has been this week's edition of Don't Mess with the Dragon's Ears. I'm Jake Byron. Peace.
I'm living in the 21st century, doing something mean to it, do it better than